Hi everyone, Helen Blunden here at Activate Learn on Twitter. It is time for another book review and I have just finished work for the day and I thought I will quickly do a review of a book I read over the weekend. And as you can see, I've got a whole heap of stuff behind me which I didn't clear up. I've got my French studies here. I've been learning French language and gotten myself up to an intermediate level, and I've got my last lesson for tonight which I'm looking forward to. But I thought before I do my lesson I will do my book review. Now, I have mentioned before that around our area I have a lot of libraries, and hence the reason why I borrow a lot of books. And over the weekend, I went off to the Beaumaris Public Library, which is in the Bayside part of Melbourne. And they had a bookshelf there with all the new books, multiple copies of new books that were 7-day loans. And so I picked this one out, which is called Trivial Grievances by Bridie Jabour. And it is really about on the contradictions, myths and misery of your 30s. Now, why did I pick this out? I really have no idea. I thought it might be interesting because I don't have young people in my life. I have a lot of younger colleagues, work colleagues, but I don't have family and friends who are in their 30s or even younger. Now, I am someone in my 50s and all my friends are my age or a lot older. And so I'm missing out this component and this viewpoint of younger people, especially how younger people are dealing with work and life nowadays. Now, I don't know about you, but my 30s was pretty angsty. There was a lot of things I had to deal with. And at the same time now in my 50s, some of them, I think when I think back, I go, why did I even worry about that stuff? And another part of me thinks I still haven't figured out what life is about in my 50s. So Bridie Jabour is an opinion editor at The Guardian Australia, and she wrote a novel called The Way Things Should Be, which was released in the UK as My Not So Functional Family. But in this book, she basically extends on the article that she wrote at The Guardian, which went viral. And she wrote about the malaise of millennials and how painful, protracted the end of their adolescence is finally hitting home. They're looking at their lives and thinking, is this it? Have I chosen the right place to live? Have I got the right job? Have I got the right partner? Am I perhaps not as special as I thought? So she writes a book on, I guess, the malaise of the millennials, people in their 30s, specifically 31, who are now thinking, is this it? Is this life? Should I be wanting some more? Should I need to have some more? And some of the contents, I'll actually run through them very quickly. This is what she talks about that might ring true for you people out there who are in your 30s. Chapter 1, she's going to introduce what this book is about, but then she talks about, are we the first people to ever feel this way? I hate to say it to you, no. Marriage is an empty constitution and other dumb things I've said. Is marriage an empty institution? I don't know about you, but I actually quite like being married. Number 3, grief and malaise. Number 4, I like being addicted to my phone. I had to laugh at this chapter because while everyone else in the world is actually saying the phone is bad, social media is bad, phone addiction is bad, she actually presents a case of why it's good. And I really liked how she presented that case because it ultimately showed that, you know, depending on how you use your phone, you're really then able to also learn a lot more, be connected to a lot more people, and probably the friends that you have met, you may not have met otherwise. So she presents a case for phone addiction in a nice way. She talks about reasons not to have children, and this is coming from someone who does have children, does have a child, and this was really interesting because she didn't put it down our necks that, you know, you got to have a kid, you got to have a kid. As someone who doesn't have children, this was quite nice to read. But then she also moved into another chapter called Reasons to Have Children. So yeah, 2 chapters on very similar lines, but either way, she doesn't really, she basically says, it's your own life, you choose what you want. You can have children or you don't have children. She talks about my money and my routines. She talks about you don't have to achieve anything. She talks about how travel does not make you a better person. I really like this chapter because it was really an indication of you don't need to have travel for you to understand and appreciate and have gratitude with what you have in your life. She talks about, does the way you were parented matter when you have sisters? What are you defined by? And then another chapter on, I thought my son was dying and all I got was this lousy lust for life. And then she ends it with how to like your life. The thing is, okay, bloody hell. Got a minute here. Anyway, let's move on. Hopefully I'm not bleeding. Oh my God. Righto. Okay, so what did I think of this book? It was really interesting. Like I mentioned, I don't have people in my 30s in my life, and I really wanted this book to be about, I guess, a more in-depth view on life in general for 30s and the issues, concerns, the opportunities they also have, and also a highly referenced book, or at least the references integrated into the story and into the chapters. What it actually ended up being was simply just about her life. So while it came across as a non-fiction book on the contradictions, myths and misery of your 30s, was really just a memoir of her own life, where she really just talks about, hey, you just do your own thing. So there were no pretty much aha moments for me in this book, but I did like the stories that she presented and she shared. And I liked reading about someone else's life and lessons that they have gleaned from it. But yeah, in that stage, if you're expecting some very formal non-fiction book with a highly referenced bibliography with cross-links and sites of references and citing of references, then you're not going to get it. This is purely Bridie's view of the world and her 30s, and more about just her own story. But nevertheless, a good and easy read for you that makes you think and appreciate of all the good things that you have in your life. And really, we have contradictions and myths and misery in all parts of ages, whether you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s. I can tell you from your 50s, yes, it's still there. But ultimately, it's what you do and make out of your life. So that is it. That's my book review, Trivial Grievances by Bridie Jabour. Thank you for listening and thank you for watching. Now I'm going to go and try and see if I've got a blood nose. Bye.